So how was that? Like, you're in the Ukraine, and you're among what's considered the strongest humans on the planet. Did that? I mean, that's got to be kind of cool in a way.
It was like a really an awesome and interesting experience all in one. It was like just like the girls I was competing with, like you just basically turn to like a big family. Like they're amazing.
Okay, I want to talk about that actually.
Okay.
Are you guys all nice to each other? Does it get cheerleadery? Do you guys like backbite?
I don't know.
What is it, Gina?
I don't know. I feel like there's too many. Like our sport is such a weird, tiny little world that like there's just no room for like negativity in it. And like if you have something bad to say or anything, like go play with CrossFitters or something. Like keep it out of the sport.
Whoa! You must have heard my show if we're cutting on CrossFit. Mine is a small little world too, Kim. So I'm with you there. So generally speaking, there's like almost an unspoken rule, positive or go home kind of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you would like that to happen. Of course, that's not always the case, but that's what I think for the most part that's like what everybody strives for.
I think the strength sports in general. I mean, at least the powerlifting and strongman contests I've been to, it's overwhelmingly positive. Everyone is just excited to see somebody else go out there and do their best, and nobody's judging if you can't lift as much as the next person. And so it's already a very positive environment. And then I think, at least my own take on it is there's obviously a lot fewer women doing it. So I think, folks are excited to see that. Everyone's nothing but supportive, including the competitors. I think that's the funnest thing is you'll turn around and the person you're competing against is cheering for you. It's pretty remarkable.
Everything is against me and people are cheering for me, so I know exactly what you mean. But I got to ask you this, though. You guys are talking inside the bubble. Like you said, it's a small little world. And here are three women, exceptional at these sports. But, aren't these strength sports, especially like Strongman, Highlander Games, Gina was mentioning powerlifting, maybe there are some stereotypes about the women. Maybe, I don't know, maybe
that we're
you guys
bearded
tell
freaks.
me. That you're what?
That we're basically like bearded freaks.
Aren't you? If not, get off my show. Yeah. Because honestly, that was the theme today: bearded freaks and technical difficulties. No, let me ask you about that. Okay, and folks, another visual. Kim Berg has a smile. Like, remember the box of kittens under the bus? Like, you put all those kittens in Elfie costumes, and that's the kind of smile. Kim Berg lights up a room. She's got the cutest smile ever. When people find out, Kim, that you're, lifting 280 pounds, for fun, do they get rattled? Do they get confused? Do they say this can't be?
I think people are surprised by it, and I think that that's with any woman. Like, you're not expecting any woman, regardless of her stature, to be lifting heavyweight. So when you talk about it, I think they get a certain picture in their head of what that means for you. But I don't know. I try to keep my personality out there as much as possible, and not lose myself in the stereotype.
Where do you guys think that cliche, obnoxious stereotype that women shouldn't or / can't lift heavy things or aren't strong, is that an expectation mutual from women? Do you think that, it's probably both, also coming from men, but do you think it's more an internal pressure that women foist upon each other to, don't do that? Or is it something that, an obedience measure of like, well, guys won't like women who, the sort of cliched heteronormative thing?
I think it's like, it could possibly be just like a lack of education, because some of my little like princessy girlfriends, they're like, oh, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get big. I'm like, I assure you, you're not going to be my size just by lifting a 5-pound dumbbell. Like, I can promise you that. But
you have a remarkable sense of self-confidence, though. That's got to be intimidating. Christina, you're pretty confident as well. Do women get intimidated? Do you think? I'm not saying like, that you're the big boss alpha woman, but, do women get a little intimidated by the fact that you're just sort of calmly confident with what you're doing? That it isn't a big deal for you almost seems the more intimidating thing.
I don't know. Nobody's actually ever like verbalized that to me before.
Okay.
I kind of would hope that we're exuding the opposite and helping people to not be intimidated by us because we're not outwardly loud about, what we can do and how much we lift. And it's not, I don't know, we're all strong and we all, compete at a fairly high level. But it's not about making somebody else feel like they can't do something. It's about uplifting everybody and trying to help them feel like they can do it.
Do you think that it's possible, and this one might swing over to Gina in a second, do you think it's possible, as a woman in America, to be lifting in strongmen and powerlifting contests and not be, to a degree seen as an ambassador, as a spokesperson, as even a, an icon, that it's impossible to not be politicized if you're going to do this thing because it is so fringe to what people consider normative. I mean, is it unavoidable?
You know what?
What I'm saying?
I'll jump in there on this. I think it's interesting. I think this is my take on it. I think those of us who are in the bubble probably don't see ourselves as, representing something like that and as an icon. But I am sometimes surprised that as soon as I get out of the bubble, people are treating me like that sometimes. And I think probably the best example of it that we just had when we were up at Maine at a contest, there was a reporter there who decided that the big story was the fact that there were 4 women competing, which in retrospect we thought was, it's fun to be featured, but it was kind of funny because, the circles we run in, it's not that remarkable anymore. It's just kind of understood. We do that.
Well, is that a comment on how uneducated the world is or on how fringe this is? I mean, do you guys see yourselves as on a fringe?
I think so. I mean, I think we're just such a small community and there's not that much hype about it all the time. So the fact that Gina was at a competition in Maine and that the news station was really excited about there being women out there competing, I think is sort of a testament to us growing and getting out there a little bit more. A couple of years ago, that might not have been a positive thing. It might have been a negative thing and they might have shied away from it.
Okay, lifting heavy things is uncomfortable. Let's face it. I mean, whether you like it or not, the physical act is rather uncomfortable. So you kind of get in this mode of you're getting a reward from it somewhere else. And this is a hard one, and I'll get light and cheap in a minute. But I am kind of curious, where is the reward coming from? I mean, this is not easy work you guys are doing. I mean, if you pull back the curtain. My mother was a contractor. Yes, the gender roles in my family were all kinds of messed up. And I was moving houses and lumber and everything from the day I was a child, and it's dislikable to lift heavy things. I don't care. I've lifted awkward heavy things my whole life. So speaking from that experience and then from whatever gym experience I've had, the reward usually isn't the actual effort of lifting up, a single finger or a log or a stone or a thing like this. Where do you think it might be coming from for you guys? Any idea at all, or is it just I just like it?
I think it's empowering. I like to be able to lift like a ridiculous amount of weight and like pull a truck or do whatever I could possibly physically do.
Have you always been that way? Like as a little girl, were you always like, I'm gonna do it?
Yeah, especially if somebody told me no. Like I'm just stubborn.
No, Christina, put down the teacher's desk. Anyway, how about you, Gina? Where does it come from for you?
Probably a number of different places, but I will agree with what Christina said, that there is an empowerment there. And I like feeling physically powerful. It's definitely a lot of fun in the gym when you have a really crazy deadlift and it's kind of a rush afterwards. So that's part of it too, I think. And actually, I also feel like there's a mental calm afterwards sometimes. Maybe it doesn't necessarily correlate every day with only training days, but I just noticed when I'm in a good training pattern, it's a good stress reliever too.
Are you insinuating then, and Kim, chime in if you have experienced this, that the extremity at which you guys work actually causes a sort of, I deign to say, near meditative, chilled out state afterward? I mean, is the exhaustion the reward? I mean, not the only reward, but part of the reward? The job well done moment, that like perfect Zen thing of like,